My name is Amanda Brotman and I work with Volunteer Cornwall in a community maker role, and my job is to, I see it as joining up the live wires between the health and the care sectors and the third sector as part of the integration programme. So I suppose I'm a sort of electrician in a way. And I really like understanding more about systems and systems thinking and complexity. I'm not very good at thinking in straight lines, and I feel very comfortable thinking in the way in which lots of different things are related and those unexpected relationships. So what I'm getting from here is a sort of grounding in a lot of the stuff that I've had in my head and belly over the last number of years actually, and it's really helpful to see some of the rigour behind that. And in terms of my specific role with Volunteer Cornwall, we are looking at how we can enable the systems in which we work, both the general systems, the multiple systems, the personal systems and the professional systems, specifically the one to do with the integration agenda, how we can make that work better.
I'm Tracy Hind. I'm currently working as Workforce Transformation Clinical Lead for the west of Cornwall and Isles of Scilly. The reason I applied to come onto this course was obviously my leadership role in system leadership and bringing stakeholders together to work in a much more integrated way for the benefit of communities. I hoped to be able to develop some further leadership skills and some self-learning. An example I've used is, although I often come across quite confident in groups, actually underneath it I'm not so confident, and so what I'd like to learn is the ability to not just dive in there and do, but rather to step back and observe and listen and learn how to facilitate and coach as opposed to doing everything myself.
So one of the main benefits of being part of this King's Fund project has been the diversity of participants in our group from all sectors of the organisation, social care, voluntary sector, secondary care, primary care and community services well represented. What this has brought to the group is the ability to think very differently when facing a problem such as respiratory services, and to look at different ways of delivering care for patients with respiratory problems, which I hope will provide the whole system with more resilience for the future. Because we're not just reliant on one person to deliver a service, we're building it culturally within the whole organisation.
For me, it's quite a lot of personal transformation, and so we're only, I think, on about session 4 now. So when I came to the first day, I really had to struggle with feelings of not feeling that I was right to be in the room, that I wasn't senior enough to be in the room, that why am I here, I can't contribute to this. So I started with quite a lot of negative feelings, although I did value the opportunity to be put forward for it, but then started to question why I had been put forward for it. And just the exercises and the theory and the talking around a table of people who do treat me with equal value has allowed me to challenge my own assumptions about my own place, if that makes sense. So I've been reflecting a lot on the idea of authority, who has it in a room and why, and therefore who has it in an organisation and why, who has it in a system and why, and whether our badges that we wear really tell the system anything about who they are and what they value, what they believe and what they're doing, and that actually our badges often don't say anything about us. And thinking about my own work label that is community hospital doctor, which actually doesn't tell anybody anything about what I really do and what I really think, and reflecting upon ways to build personal authority in a positive way to effect positive change where I work.
Okay, well, I started at the beginning of the group, a few weeks ago now, with a degree of trepidation because I'm not a team player, and and wondered a bit what I was there for, because I knew we had a purpose, and that purpose was to create a respiratory pathway in Penzance, but I couldn't quite work out what that had to do with a leadership course. The two didn't really correlate to me. But as time has gone on, I've begun to appreciate that in fact I'm not really a sole player, and I do quite enjoy the comfort of a team around me, and that's really shown itself today in the activities we've done today. And I've discovered that I'm taking what I'm learning, the business of leadership, out of here and applying it in my group exercises for the breathers. In fact, I'm beginning to play quite heavily on what I'm learning, and it's having an effect within the breathers group.
We all came with different views and different ideas of what it was going to be. And I found it quite hard because I had a very clear idea in my head and then it wasn't that at all. And having quite senior people saying it's all right to have permission to just press the pause button and have just take some time, because you're all running really, really fast. And then you haven't got time to say, oh, what is it that's going wrong? How can we do it differently? And because of that, you just end up doing the same thing and the same thing, and you go on, and that's really stressful. And what these days, the first couple of days I found really hard. Now I couldn't wait to come today, because I knew that we'd have a really lively debate, but everyone understands the rules innately now. Everyone has their voice, everyone feels listened to, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
The networking's been amazing. I wish it could just be wider, but it is what it is. I've learnt loads from the other groups, really enjoyed that. And it hasn't been management speak, it's been really practical, real life stuff. And I was saying earlier, what I want to take back to even just my locality, but also my practice, is that idea that I love that bit about not being a leader, not a manager, because I think I've got leaders in my organisation that are quite a long way down the management structure, and I think empowering them to have a voice is one of the most valuable things we take from this, and letting people understand that they will be listened to. And if we practice what we're talking about here, which is giving them that opportunity and letting them speak out and feel they can speak out and not be just told to get back in the box, is really important.
I agree. I think there has been a real richness to being part of a wider group as well, not just the East group, and listening to the other areas and what they're developing and the pace that they're going. So there's some benefit in working as a whole system, isn't there, a whole community together. But for me, it's also been about noticing my own behaviours and really thinking a little bit more on how I sort of come across to others and how others feel at the other side of me.
Hello, my name's Darren Priestland. I'm a service manager for adult social care for Mid Cornwall. I've been on the King's Fund project since the beginning. My experience today is very positive. I think what I've really enjoyed is watching a group of people suddenly realising that the procedurally driven world that we live in, there's an alternative route, which is systems-based leadership. Seeing people be able to apply what we're learning in the learning sets in the afternoon to their sort of real world situations has been really rewarding and enjoyable, and it's created a real sense of we're all on this journey together, like a shared perspective. So I think that's been one of the things I've really enjoyed. My own particular style fits pretty well with this. It's kind of been where I've always been throughout my career, recognising that it's about how you fit within the systems, recognising your role within it and how you can affect it. So for me it's been like, yeah, thumbs up, that's what I want us all to kind of focus on, rather than just following policy and procedure, because although they're required, they don't often change the things that really need changing. So I'm really hopeful that this process will bring, you know, health, social care together, but kind of function in a slightly different way.
The biggest thing that resonates with me is the importance of disruption.
I believe that this is significant investment in us is already and will continue to provide our system with positively disruptive change and continued disequilibrium.
I would say this has been a huge alleluia for the positive deviants and the creative disruptors.
I've heard loads and loads of stories about multidisciplinary work. You're actually doing it. I've heard loads of people say, oh, user at the centre of everything. No, actually, today, the user is at the centre of everything. Nobody talked about them and the professionals, and I thought that was really, really important. It's very positive initiatives. You are disruptive, which is great, because I think that's what you're going to need if you want to go into this new world.
I've worked in the NHS for over 20 years, and I've never been involved in anything that has left me feeling so positive, that has felt so inclusive, and that has involved people who are so determined to deliver what is right for the patient. And that is particularly refreshing.
Genuinely felt something different here. And it hasn't everywhere I go. There's bits of good practice, but all of you working on the same page, I think it boils down to good leadership. And I think there's some really good leadership in this place, because without that good leadership, with allowing you to take those risks and you know, being creative and disruptive,